Hey guys, welcome to Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, Jay Miller if you like. So I just kind of want to start with, before I get into the observations from today's practice, Carl Lawson was officially signed today. It looks like it's a contract with a base salary of a little more than $1 million. I think it's 1.25, with another $1 million in incentives tied to sack totals and playing time and the Cowboys making the playoffs. But all in all, very team-friendly deal for the Cowboys. And it doesn't look like it's going to hurt the cap much at all. It's not going to affect the CeeDee Lamb deal at all. Actually, as a matter of fact, once the Cowboys sign CeeDee Lamb, they actually create cap space that they'll probably end up carrying over to next year, or using that as a break glass in case of emergency if someone were to get hurt, or someone else. We've got a number of injuries right now, but if someone else were to get hurt, somebody that they can go out and get that to replace that person. But as of right now, just want to let you know that's official. He is now officially a Dallas Cowboy, even though it was reported before, and I kind of let you guys know, hey, Carl Lawson's on the team, Phillips is on the team. It wasn't 100% official because they didn't put pen to paper with Lawson. Phillips was official, but they didn't put pen to paper with Lawson. But now pen is to paper. He's officially at Cowboys camp. He's officially a Cowboy. I didn't see him today at practice. He probably was working with some of the guys on the strength and conditioning cords, because the Cowboys do what every NFL team does, because it's a part of the collective bargaining agreement that they have to have a ramp up before they can get into pads, and the Cowboys have been in pads now for a couple of weeks, so he can't quite just come in and just go straight into pads and practicing. He has to have a ramp up, so they're in the middle of that ramp up. Now, to get into some observations from Cowboys practice, it was good to see Mazi Smith back out there after having the reaction, the allergic reaction that apparently, when I looked on social media, some people wanted to knock him for. They wanted to act like he was being a big baby or something. As a person I have a shellfish allergy, specifically shrimp. So as a person that knows how dangerous that stuff is, trust me, I've had my emergency room incidences, and I haven't even eaten it, so his was a peanut allergy. Looks like they gave him some sort of peanuts inside of his protein shake prior to him getting on the bus for the game, and he had a reaction. He had to hop off the bus. He had to hop into the Suburban and get rushed to the emergency room. He couldn't make the trip. Luckily, they got him there in time. I mean, if anybody has a peanut allergy listening to this, you can die. Pause. Death. It can happen. So, for all those giving Mazi Smith all that tons of crap, that's not really appreciated. It was appreciated, though, to see him back on the practice field today and making plays. There was a couple of times where they were handing off to the running back. He would take on double teams and kind of clog up the middle. A lot of linebackers to flow freely. One particular, I remember on Zeke going up the middle, he commanded a double team from Cooper Beebe and Tyler Bass, nonetheless. And Cooper Beebe's a powerful player. Bass is a gamer. Commanded the double team. Leafau was in there to make the stop. On another play, he was getting double teamed by those same two people, and Dak was rolling out to his right. Mazi was actually able to shed the block, both blockers. He got double teamed. He shed two blocks and was able to get right into Dak's face as Dak threw the pass. Dak still completed the pass, but I'm not so sure that in a game that wouldn't have been a sack, especially if Mazi, because he pulled up. It's the quarterback. You can't hit the guy. He's on your team. You're trying to get your guys ready for week one. You don't want your nose tackle planting your quarterback in practice. But he looked really good. He was in his face. I'm not so sure that Dak would have gotten that pass off in the game because Mazi was there. So it was nice to see him back. And it was nice to see him playing with power. It was nice to see him playing with good pad level, good technique, commanding double teams. And, I mean, like I said, I've been in the hospital with an allergic reaction. I don't know if, 4 days later I would have been able to participate in any sort of practice, let alone an NFL practice. So kudos to that guy. Also, who stood out to me today, Jordan Lewis was making plays all over the field. He's had a nice camp. I know if you listen to my 53-man roster projection, rocket science there. Jordan Lewis is on the roster, but he's been looking great continuously. Trayvon Diggs had an interception of Dak today. There was a play where Dak rolled out to the right. He tried to hit the receiver. Trayvon Diggs cut right in front. He had the interception. Possibly would have been a pick six. But it's nice to see him coming back off of that knee injury and making some plays. There was a play like maybe a week and a half ago, where he made a super athletic interception near the sideline, where he had to go up, get the ball, come down, get both feet in bounds because he was right on the sideline. That was great. Today, this one wasn't quite as athletic, but it was just as impressive, considering what he's coming back from and seeing that he's just kind of being the same old Trayvon Diggs. Not only did he have the interception, there were several plays where he forced balls to the sideline and got him out of bounds, where he would have had nice tackles. There was a couple of plays where he had some pass breakups, batting down a Dak Prescott pass to the receiver, making sure that he couldn't even get to it. So all in all, if you're wondering about whether Trayvon Diggs looks active, he definitely does. I didn't get to see Jordan Phillips much today in practice. But I will be looking out for that. I'm pretty sure tomorrow he'll be pretty active. I think tomorrow Carl Lawson will be still on the cords and kind of, working his way into it slowly but surely. Dak had several nice completions to the wide receivers. I saw Kevontae Turpin grab a few. It looks like they're using Flournoy on some in and around, sort of in that Kevontae Turpin role. Same thing with Jalen Cropper. So they're just kind of trying to cross-train. Not saying that those guys are all of a sudden going to take Kevontae Turpin's spot. I think he's pretty solidified. But let's say Kevontae Turpin needs a breather and Flournoy makes the roster. One of those plays, one of those out of the backfield or those in and arounds or those misdirection plays that normally go to Kevontae Turpin might go to one of these guys if they end up making the game day roster, let alone the 53. Also, Trey Lance today looked really, really good. Several passes. This guy's improving. So I know there's a lot of haters out there, looking at you, Bobby Belt, once again, that don't want to admit whether or not Trey Lance is making progress. It's okay. You can be a Dallas Cowboys fan and be a fan of Dak Prescott and a fan of Cooper Rush and a fan of Trey Lance. I know, because, raise my hand, I'm sitting right here. I'm a fan of all of them as well. I want to see the team succeed. And if you're a Cowboys fan, which you are, if you're here and you're listening to this podcast, maybe there's one out there, not going to shout you out, but I know who you are that might not be a Cowboys fan. But either way, you're here, you're listening to this, so most likely you're a Cowboys fan. And if that's the case, you want to see the Cowboys succeed. So you should be happy to have an awesome starting quarterback in Dak Prescott, a really good backup who's been 4-1 in Cooper Rush, and a developmental quarterback like Trey Lance that's improving the more practices he gets. And today was another improvement. He had several nice throws. He had a nice touchdown throw. He looked very decisive. It's kind of like night and day from the beginning of training camp till now. He definitely looks to be more confident, but he always carried himself with an air of confidence, but now he's throwing with confidence. He's getting to the back of foot, like I always talk about, the top of his drop, and he's making his read and he's letting the ball go. He's not holding on to it. He's not scampering to the left and to the right or trying to figure out where he should go with the ball or defaulting to running the ball. He's actually letting it go. He's actually cutting it loose. So now let's see him continue. When we talk about training camp, what we want to see is day in and day out consistency, right? So with Trey Lance, early in training camp, what you would see is a couple of good throws, a couple of bad throws. And then, we got a little further in the training camp, and then what we will see is a good day, a bad day, 2 good days, 3 bad days. Now we're getting further into training camp, and now we're starting to get consistently good days. So if you want to talk about progress, I know, it's flashy to go from being the 3rd overall pick, getting traded to the Cowboys, and now you're the freaking man. But it doesn't necessarily work like that. Those other guys get paid too. They're all pros. They're trying to make roster spots just like you are. The cornerbacks are trying to cover those receivers and bat that ball away. The defensive linemen are trying to make it hell for you by getting in your face and making it hard for you to complete that pass. So for you to make those steps of progress every single day and kind of getting better and better and now sort of getting to the point of consistency, that's what we need to see from Trey Lance. So looking forward to see how it works out for him tomorrow as well. Cooper Beebe took pretty much all the first team reps that I saw. So I thought maybe when I did my 53-man roster projection, I thought Hoffman was still like a smidge, a pubic hair ahead of him. But I guess not necessarily. He's taken all the first team reps today. He seems to be playing with plenty of power. His snaps have been good. He seems very aware. And I feel like some of the things that he's not aware about, taking those first team reps with Dak Prescott is going to help bring along that awareness. Not only for him in terms of calling the defense, calling out the mic, setting the protections, but whatever he messes up with, Dak Prescott can come in and reset those protections and be like, okay, young fella, that's not what we want to do. This is actually the mic. These are actually the protections. But now Cooper Beebe can see that adjustment, and the next time he sees that same defense, he's like, boom, got it. Dak made the adjustments. This is where we should go. So that's looking really good. Tyler Guyton looked good today. That first team offensive line, Tyler Bass was in there instead of Zach Martin, probably just a veteran day off. No Brandon Cooks, no DeMarion Overshown, no Damone Clark. All those guys were kind of like chilling out a little bit. But for the most part, your first team offensive line was in there. Your first team defense was in there looking good. And some of the backups were looking good too. I did see Rodgers. He looked pretty active on the play. As much as I threw some dirt on him, I feel like Huggins actually was looking pretty good as well. So he's picked up where he's left off from the game against the Raiders. He had a good game, and now he's also looking good. Deuce Vaughn had a couple of nice runs that he popped in the middle. Trey Lance hit him with a draw play, I guess. They probably have different terms for it when they're calling it, but for all intents and purposes, it was a draw play. Trey Lance gets the snap from center, drops back like he's going to pass. Deuce is sitting there like he's in pass protection, and then at the last second, Trey Lance puts the ball in his belly and Deuce takes off. He looked good on some of those plays today. He looked good on some of his straight-up runs today as well. It looks like Deuce is kind of figured out what he needs to do. He's hitting the holes decisively. He's not dancing so much. He's not trying to necessarily spin or chop his feet. He's kind of getting the ball and going downhill. And he's not necessarily going to the ground with arm tackles. And that's kind of what I had to worry with in Deuce's rookie year. It seemed like as long as you got an arm out there, as long as you got a little forearm, something, he was such a small guy that he'd just go to the ground. Now he's running through those things. And maybe that is just a year of strength and conditioning, a year of off season, not having to worry about any injuries or anything. So you're in the weight room, you're squatting, you're lifting, you're doing your thing. Looks like Deuce is a much stronger player. So it makes me even more confident about my 53-man roster projection as far as him making it in the running back room. A couple of corrections from my projections yesterday. I kept calling Brandon Anger, probably because of Brandon Aubrey, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew, hey, talking about Brian Anger, I'm not trying to make this a little more difficult than it needs to be. But that's it. That's all I saw today. If you liked the video, subscribe, hit the like button, and if there's anything specifically that you want me to cover, put it in the comments below. You can also hit me up on Twitter. I'll take questions from there as well, put them into an episode instead of a mailbag format. My Twitter @ is jmilleriyl, so if you like. And you could also submit questions to the email. It's knockersonthebottom@outlook.com. Again, knockersonthebottom@outlook.com. But thank you for tuning in. You guys have been great. Until next time, it's your host, Jay Miller if you like. This has been Knockers on the Bottom. Peace.